Bryant Wesco Jr. is a former four-star recruit who's established himself as Clemson's top wide receiver and a potential 2027 first-round draft pick.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I'm Damian Parson, and today's episode is brought to you by Kalshi. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use the code Locked On to get up to $500 in bonus credits when you trade 25. And today's episode is all about Clemson's other wide receiver, who to me is their top and number one wide receiver, Bryant Wesco Jr., former four-star recruit for the Clemson Tigers. I'm going to explain my grade a little bit later, talk about any NFL comps that come to mind, talk about the concerns about his profile as a draft prospect. But as always, let's break down the pros, the good things, the great things that he brings to the table. A young man that he didn't play a full season due to injury, which we'll talk about that a little bit later. Bryant Wesco Jr. is coming off of a season, 31 catches, 537 yards receiving, 6 receiving touchdowns. He also operated as the team's punt returner. He's listed at 6'2", 195 pounds. This is a twitchy, this is a quick twitch, just athletic wide receiver. You're talking about crisp route running. Like, this is a guy in terms of Bryant, what Bryant Wesco brings to the table. He's a 3-level threat. He is a 3-level wide receiver. If you want a guy that's going to be able to win in the short to intermediate and deep down the field, that is what Bryant Wesco Jr. brings to the table. He has the speed, the acceleration and burst to be able to stretch the field vertically, but also having the stop-start ability to to sell those takeoff routes and drive it and get in and out of his breaks with quickness, suddenness, and just pure twitch. Like, I feel like he's so smooth and again, sudden, which is some of the things I talked about with TJ Moore, but he just moves different. He's very fluid. And that's what I'm talking about. Out of the breaks, he's very fluid, very quick. A guy that can hit you with rocker steps. If you're giving him off coverage, or you're giving him a free release, and you're playing 5-7 yards off the ball. I think it was against Boston College. He ran a dig route where he just absolutely separated and created so much space between him and the cornerback. The corner's playing off man. He's playing man coverage, but he's giving them some cushion, right? Because I believe early in that game, he might have beat that same corner down the field on a deep pattern for explosive play. I think for a good 30-40 yard touchdown, he wins vertically, right? Because again, he talked about the speed and the foot speed to gear up and to get even and then separate late. So they're giving them some cushion. They're giving them some space to work, right? Hey, allowing your corners to be able to try and play some catch technique, things of that nature. Bryant Wesco Jr. gets close enough to him, hits him with the rocker step and the head fake, breaks off in the middle of the field on the dig route. He's wide open, nothing but space and opportunity for the young man. But also you see the footwork, the stuff that you see, like typically you go to the Senior Bowl or Shrine Bowl, and you see these receivers, like the real quick twitch guys who can just they have the feet that match that are really suited for dancing with the stars. I will put it like that. He has that type of footwork where you're talking about crossing steps, different release packages that he can absolutely, from split release to just speed releases, diamond cut slants. He can do all of that, right? And I almost threw out a really, really wild comp to you guys. I'm not doing that to this kid. But like, that's what some of the things I really love about Bryant Wesco Jr. is that he gives you the ability to, as a route runner, he's quick, sudden, fluid. His footwork is quick, sudden, fluid, twitchy. He can really move, and I love that about his game of just being able to win one-on-one. Yes, offensive coordinators, you do your job about scheming the guy open. That's a fact. But when you have a young man with the skill set and movement abilities of a Bryant Wesco Jr., he just moves so much more different than some of the receivers we've seen. Even Antonio Williams, I feel like Antonio Williams is more of that slot receiver and everything. Bryant Wesco can win vertically from the outside because they played him a lot at the X, which is crazy when you think about it because he's 6'2", 195. Then you got 6'3", 200, maybe 200 plus, depending on what TJ Moore really comes in at. And he's playing the Z spot, right, for the most part. So, yes, like this is a player that I'm really excited for in terms of Bryant Wesco Jr. and what he's going to be able to do this year, being healthy again. He's got the full go. He's been fully cleared and everything. It was a pretty bad injury and whatnot. It was a neck and back injury that he suffered mid-season last year, I think in October. And he was out for the rest of the year, but he's ready to go ahead of fall camp and everything. But for me, I just look at it. I think he's their most talented wide receiver. Yes. When you look at TJ Moore, I think has the bigger frame. Not even think he's got the bigger frame, right? And he's 200 pounds. I don't know if that's, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I said that, yes, I don't know if TJ Moore would be a full 200. He could be 195. But when you look at the two, there's a vast difference in terms of body mass and everything like that. So he's the bigger body receiver in terms of frame and body mass and weight, in my honest opinion. Like you look at the two, there's no way they're close to the exact same weight. TJ Moore is the visibly bigger player, but the more talented, the more nuanced and detailed guy, to me, that's Bryant Wesco Jr., right? That's Bryant Wesco Jr. I think I appreciate, he's not someone that I would say you're going to throw a lot of 50-50 balls to, but Cade trusted him last year. Cade threw some passes to him. I think he was like per PFF, he was 3 of 9 in contested catch situations, but Cade threw some long touchdowns to him where he trusted him to go make the play. And he did. I think it was Georgia Tech. He had one down the left sideline. I think they sent a corner blitz. I think it was Georgia Tech. They sent a corner blitz, and it became a jump ball down the field, and Bryant Wesco Jr. came down with the football. Right? It was I think it was Georgia Tech. Then he had the one against Boston College and everything. He took the top off the defense against Troy. Heck, just for you to understand, he played. I believe he played 7 games total. Right? 7 games total for Clemson last year. 44 targets, 31 receptions, right? Talking about the 537. He averaged 17.3 yards per catch. But here's the thing, for those who really like this stat, yards per route run, 2.62 for those who really love that. His yards per route run, 2.62. His ADOT, average depth of target, 13.5, right? But here's why I really think that this is probably one of the more slept-on part of his game, yards after catch. I feel like Bryant Wesco Jr. he's got the ability to gear down, to stop, start, and to really create for himself. But that's where that punt return background comes from too, right? Being able to make the first guy miss, juke a guy, things of that nature. He had a slant route, I believe it was against Georgia Tech when I was watching film. First, I was watching film with TJ Moore, but my eyes kept panning to Bryant Wesco because I saw him over there just getting open and doing his thing. But yeah, they ran like kind of a clear out with the slot receiver. He took the seam and they cleared it out so he can work underneath. Bryant Wesco can work underneath on the slant. He catches the slant and he just a spatial awareness. And you see the back juke. He like lifts up on this. I feel like he lifted up on his toes like Reggie Bush at USC on the sideline a little bit. That little back juke, almost a hee from Michael Jackson, right? That little back juke on the toes, right? And then he was able to he's able to give you the 1-2, the short area in the phone booth maneuvers and the elusiveness to create after the catch. And I think that's where he's gonna that allows him again that 3-level threat of, hey, I can work you in the quick game, throw you the ball, and trust that you can get yards after the catch. 203 of his 537 yards came after the catch, and he averaged yards after the catch per reception 6.5. That's outstanding stuff, guys. Talking about like over halfway to a first down. 6.5 yards of yak, right, per reception. Like, that's really good. So he's able to create after the catch and make things happen, make guys miss. So winning in the short, the intermediate, and deep down the field, he tracks the ball well, good hand-eye coordination, and just the confidence with the ball in the air as well. So I think he's got twitch. I think he's twitchy. I think he's got a good explosiveness, good top end speed. I'm excited for Bryant Wesco Jr. Going into the 2026 season, being fully healthy. I think this young man has another level that he can hit in terms of production and impact for the Clemson Tigers offense. But coming up next, we'll talk about the concerns about his game and around his profile. And while there's a little concern, I guess, health wise, we're gonna talk about that coming up next. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp has been a widely used online therapy platform, and today the focus is on why so many people continue to choose it. If you're curious, you can actually see what people are saying by visiting BetterHelp.com/reviews, where real customer reviews are updated every single day. More than 6 million people globally have used BetterHelp to get started. You answer a few questions, get matched with a therapist based on your needs, and if it's not the right fit, you can switch therapists at any time. And I can tell you from experience, anytime I try something new, a new product, a new restaurant, whatever, a new drink, I check the reviews to see how real customers feel. So I encourage listeners right now to go to betterhelp.com/reviews to see what stands out to them instead of relying on a single opinion. So again, see the reviews, see what stands out, and see if BetterHelp is right for you. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedon. That's betterhelp.com/lockedon. Breaking down the concerns for Bryant Wesco Jr.'s 2027 NFL summertime scouting report. I think to me, it starts with the injury. Bryant Wesco Jr. suffered a serious back and neck injury. October 18th, it was like third quarter, I believe against SMU and everything. He was hospitalized, all that type of stuff, and that pretty much ended his sophomore season, but he is a full go. So I start there because anytime you talk about neck and back injuries playing football, it's always going to be, okay, is there any long-term ramifications with it? Is there any lingering limitations or issues? Could this flare back up? You know what I mean? Like those type of things. Was it Justin Ross with Clemson? With Clemson, I believe it was Justin Ross who, what was it? May have been his sophomore year. He caught a touchdown pass, and I think he collided head first with the field goal post, and it caused a neck injury and everything. If I remember correctly, definitely for those watching on YouTube, correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure that's what happened with him, and he was just never the same. He was never the same athlete. Now I don't think this wasn't that extreme, right? Because you're running full speed into a goal post. If I remember that correctly. But Bryant Wesco's been given the full go, fully cleared by doctors, medical. He's fine. He's good to go for the season. He's good to go in fall camp. But you just wonder with neck and with back injuries, is this something that the wrong hit or whatever, could it flare back up? Could it cause any issues? So just wanted to kind of get that out of the way into some of a concern for me. But let's go to more concerns. Drops. He did deal with some drops last year. Again, only played 7 games. He had PFF had him logged for 5 drops, which is more than the 2. And so as a freshman, he only accounted for 2 drops. And then last year in 7 games, he accounted for 5 drops. So there were some, I guess, concentration situations or issues there and everything. And then also like the slender frame. He's got a slender, wiry frame. So you wonder, okay, the physicality of the NFL, is this the 2000s? No, but it's still a physical game. It's still a grown man's game. How can he bulk up a little bit, right? Because to be honest, when I look at it with that number 12, with that jersey and everything, what I see with him is it looks like Travis Hunter. And you look at Travis Hunter going into year 2, he's added muscle and like mass to his frame. And yeah, he doesn't look the same, right? But also he's still fast. So that's a big thing is like Bryant Wesco, because that's my thing. It's like he's just at 195. When you see the wiriness of his frame, I'm like, is he 195 or is he 180, 175? Like, is he somewhere in the 175, 185 range? I think he might be right now, but again, he's listed at 6'2". So if he's a legit 6'2", we know that being taller, your weight can seem higher than it is or more than it is. I've seen taller guys weigh in and I'm like, what? Like, you're how much? And it was like, that's what the scale says. But it's, hey, it's just because he's taller, right? So that's gonna be a big thing for me. Is just, okay, is he truly 195? Because he's very slender, he's very wiry. Can he handle the physicality of dealing with press coverage, bump and run coverage, being having guys play physical throughout his rep and throughout the stem of his routes? Now he did a pretty solid job of that last year. You see him fighting through on curl routes and comeback routes and everything, and working through it, right? Or early in, like, he's really good with his hands. I said his hands are good to counter strike and counter punch and change angles and things like that. But when you're going up against the top corners in the league, especially if he balls out this year, I said it with TJ Moore, I think he could have a 1,100-yard season or 1,000-yard season and have that breakout season, 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns with Christopher Virginia. But I think with the 3-level skill set, the route running, the separation ability, the yak ability, all of what Bryant Wesco Jr. has in his repertoire and his bag, I think this is a young man that they really give him the rock and give him the opportunities. Yeah, he can absolutely go off, and I think he can work himself into being a first-round pick, right? We just watched Makai Lemon go round 1. We watched Casey Concepcion go round 1. We've seen, well, not Casey. Well, yeah, we saw him go round 1 too, but I already had him as a round 1 guy. Omar Cooper Jr., kind of like, didn't he go round 1? I think late round 1 or whatever the case may have been. So, yeah. I'm not saying that Bryant Wesco Jr. is more proven. Well, I don't. He might be more proven going into his junior year than Makai Lemon was and everything, right? So, yeah, and Casey Concepcion too, because Casey Concepcion was used as more of a gadget receiver. I definitely think there's a realm that this young man can get into round 1. So I just think that he's got to work on some things against press coverage. I want to see him, again, just the body type. It's just when you have the back and neck injury, then your wiry, slender frame, it definitely gives you a little cause for pause, makes you a little anxious. But I look at this young man, and he's talented. He's a very talented player. Got to clean up the drops, though. I want to see him, because, again, you didn't drop the ball really in 2024 as a freshman. Not sure what happened and everything, playing through contact. Again, 3 of 9 on contested catch situations, right, in terms of converting. And it wasn't, how to put this? It's not like he went up with full extension, because, well, he's got a tendency to trap the ball sometimes in those situations where he lets the ball get into his pads and trap, even in those contested catch spots. Like, you don't see him just full arm extension, grabbing the ball with his hands and with the diamond and all that stuff. It's a lot of, he goes up, but he's waiting. He's still allowing it to come down and descend, rather than like attacking at its highest point, and then the ball does get trapped on his chest or in his pads and things of that nature. And then when you got guys playing physical and things of that nature, it can create those opportunities for pass breakups and knocking the ball out late before, because in the NFL, it's what's a catch? What's a catch nowadays? It's you got to make a football move, or you got to get your feet in, and then you got to survive the ground. Like, so it's a lot that goes into, making a catch in the NFL. So I definitely think for Bryant Wesco Jr., I think this is a young man that the drops is probably the biggest thing. Like I said, he's been cleared, he's healthy, and I'm gonna roll with that. And I'm hoping that, but it's, again, when you hear back, neck, it makes you worry, like, man, because these are injuries, or those are 2 spots in the body that you don't want to deal with as a football player, because it could shorten your NFL career, once you get to the league, right? So just hope that, for him, there's no ramification, no long-term issues or concerns from the doctors or anything else. But I truly believe by the time we get to draft season, he declares that will be his medicals at the combine will be discussed because of it. But coming up next, guys, I'm going to explain my grade, throw out some NFL comps, some guys that match the body type and the skill set of Bryant Wesco Jr., star receiver out of Clemson. We're going to talk about that coming up next. Support for today's episode comes from Square. Behind so many of the local businesses people visit every day is Square, a platform designed to help businesses sell, manage, and grow. Whether it's a neighborhood coffee shop, a packed sports bar on game day, or your favorite restaurant, Square brings payments, banking, and more together in one connected system. Square isn't just a payment processor, though. It's a complete business platform built to simplify the day-to-day of the business. And it's the little things for me. Like when I go to a restaurant that's slammed, right? But the staff, they never look stressed out. Or when checkout is fast, no matter how busy they get, you're not waiting around. Nothing feels chaotic and it just feels organized. So if you're starting a business or already running one that deserves better tools, Square helps you sell, manage, and grow without slowing down. Right now, you can get up to $200 off Square hardware at square.com/go/LockedOnNFL. That's SQUARE.com/GO/LockedOnNFL. Run your business smarter with Square. Get started today. Before the season kicks off, everyone's making predictions. Who wins the division? Who makes the playoffs? Who's lifting the trophy at season's end? On Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market, you can trade those predictions in a live market. Will the Buffalo Bills win the AFC Championship this season? The Buffalo Bills are currently trading at a 15% probability, meaning a $100 trade would pay out $629.20 if they took home the title. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. Trade the draft, pick the game, and more on Kalshi. Download the Kalshi app and use the code LOCKEDON to get up to $500 in bonus credits when you trade 25, 18 or older only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Kalshi products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and availability markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day. And thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in America. It's all because of you, our everydayers. Giving the grade, explaining my grade for Bryant Wesco Jr., former 4-star recruit for the Clemson Tigers. Again, listed as 6'2", 195. I don't believe he's 195. I gave him a back end of round 1, early second round grade. I think this is a young man that is definitely has first round potential and talent, from route running to athleticism to man coverage, zone coverage, separation, and ability to win and create space for the quarterback to throw. Again, ball tracking down the field, getting open, making the plays in as a 3-level threat, making guys miss one-on-one. Like, he has those abilities that translate and transition to the NFL and it transition well. I think for him, you look at Bryant Wesco Jr. and you talking about putting it all together for a full season, getting 1,000, 1,100, 1,200 yards, 10, 11, 12 touchdowns. I don't really need him on punt return, Clemson. I want him to be fully invested at receiver and go out there and put his best game forward. Again, for those watching on YouTube, you can see the wiriness in his upper body, right? That's a concern, with that thin frame that he has, of course. And it's like, hey, could that limit his ability to be a wide receiver 1? Potentially, but one of the comps I thought about was DeVonta Smith with the Philadelphia Eagles. And if, for those who remember, DeVonta Smith came out of college, out of Alabama, at 6'125", 170 pounds. Like, yeah, so per mock draftable, he was in the 2 percentile in terms of weight. Okay, another name. So just and DeVonta Smith right now was drafted to be the number one, then had a good rookie season, really good rookie season. And so with a top 15 pick, top 12 pick, whatever the case may be, what happens then? Okay, Philly trades with Tennessee, sends them a first-round pick. They get A.J. Brown. They end up winning the Super Bowl. A.J. Brown's the number one wide receiver for the next couple years. Now he's traded to the New England Patriots. Now DeVonta Smith is the man in that room, and we're going to see how he handles that overall. We're going to see how he handles being the number one guy this season. I think that he's got the ability. I'll give you a place of vulnerability. I was wrong. He was my wide receiver one that year over Chase and things like over Waddle. I loved his game at Alabama. Just smooth route running separation. Chase clearly is on a different planet than the DeVonta Smith. And I'll never disrespect Mr. Jamar again. But no, like I've always been a big fan of Smitty, but now we got to see how you handle being the defense's number one priority. Yes, you have Mekhi Lemon, but again, you're the guy. So could he, if he plays well and he does well as the wide receiver one, he has 1,300 yards for the Eagles and 12 touchdowns and helped them lead it to a really strong passing season for Jalen Hurts. Yeah, it's going to help a guy like Bryant Wesco Jr. for teams to feel more comfortable allowing him to be their wide receiver one. Another receiver that came to mind was, I think it was with Jameson Williams and everything. And I believe with Jameson, he was 6'1.5", 179 pounds. Now, I think this might be where he's a little closer. He may not be 195. I don't think he's 170 in terms of Bryant Wesco Jr. So he might be at 179 to 185. And I think if he's there, you can deal with that, right? But we know that JMO elite speed, so he doesn't have that type of speed, but body types I think are similar. But he gives you, in terms of Wesco, he's more of the yards after catch, creativity, and elusivity, where you got that just raw, unbridled speed of Jameson Williams, who's honestly really improved as a route runner as well. And I think he's going to continue to improve and continue to get better. And be a great 1-2 punch with him and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So again, when you talk about Bryant Wesco, I have a late first, early second. I definitely think fix the drops, stay healthy this year, and really go out there and produce and really kind of help you and TJ Moore bring back the buzz and the hype around Clemson and everything. Let this offense, like this offense was not good in 2025. This offense takes that step and they get back and they're consistent, not just game to game. I'm talking drive to drive, snap to snap. If they are able to do that, and Bryant Wesco Jr. along with TJ Moore, if those are the two spearheading this passing offense as they should be, yes, I could definitely see his stock rising. Same way I said, hey, TJ Moore, top 50 pick, I could see him being a early second round pick. I had him like early to mid second round. I think early second round into late first is a nice sweet spot for Bryant Wesco Jr. because he's extremely talented. Even though Bryant Wesco was a 4-star, TJ Moore was a 5-star, he's the better receiving prospect to me. Watching the two guys, better route runner. I think his speed and acceleration is better. He creates more after the catch, gets open better against man coverage. I just think that he's the better of the two, but both of those guys, I really like their games. I think Christopher Vizzini, you get these boys the ball, get them the ball. Let the Tigers out the cage, man, and go crazy this year. I'm looking forward to seeing this offense overall because this could be the best offense they've had in quite some time. But guys, that is the show breaking down Bryant Wesco's game, wide receiver for the Clemson Tigers, explaining the grade, going over the concerns that I have for him, even throughout some NFL comps, and of course talked about all the good things that he brings to the table as a prospect. But as always, go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Coming up on tomorrow's show, guys, we're going to be breaking down Mario Craver, Texas A&M star wide receiver. Casey Concepcion is in camp catching passes for the Cleveland Browns from Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson and company. Mario Craver, the best receiver on that team now going into the 2026 college football season. Yes, we got to talk about his game and that more coming up on tomorrow's show. So come join the conversation again tomorrow. The Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.